GBL GameDay, your home for all the exciting action from the Greater Boston League.
In game number 1, the Miami Sound Machine aimed to extend their winning streak to 4 games against the struggling Mama Patterson, and they just managed to pull it off, fueled by the impressive efforts of running back DeAndre Swift and a timely contribution from wide receiver Xavier Worthy on Monday night. While Kelly's team saw strong showings from both wide receiver DJ Moore and tight end Tucker Kraft, they fell short once again, dropping to 1-4, while Chris improves to 4-1. Final score 121.88 to 119.64. In game number 2, Senor Ocho Cinco aimed to maintain their momentum against a struggling Handicap Heroes team. Running back Kareem Hunt delivered a surprisingly standout performance, leading Joel's squad, which saw solid contributions across 80% of his roster with 10 to 19-point outings. The Heroes, however, couldn't keep pace, suffering from single-digit scores in 6 positions, despite a stellar showing from quarterback Baker Mayfield. With this loss, the Heroes now sit at 2-3 after 3 consecutive defeats, while Senor Ocho Cinco improves to 3-2 with a final score of 110.74 to 86. In game number 3, the GBL Game of the Week featured the showdown between 2-time champions Albanian Hard Knocks and the 2016 champions, the Injured Reserves. Despite facing early injuries, Georgia's team has been thriving over the past 2 weeks. Wide receiver Garrett Wilson's impressive 30.1 points alone was enough to secure the win against Theo's squad, which struggled to surpass the 100-point mark, even with the league-leading defense of the Minnesota Vikings. The game was never truly competitive as George clinched his 2nd consecutive victory, improving to 2-3, while Theo faced his 2nd straight loss, falling to 3-2 by a final score of 121.4 to 100.16. Game number 4 showcased the clash between the 2 top teams in the GBL, the number 1 Albanian Express and the number 2 Hurricane, both sitting at 3-1. Sean's team has been a force to be reckoned with, and Week 5 was no exception, as they posted the week's highest total against a very tough opponent. Wide receiver Jamar Chase led the way with an impressive 44.3 points, the highest among all players in Week 6. Alvin's bench fell short by just 8 points, and while wide receivers Drake London and T. Higgins had solid performances that could have changed the game's outcome while they were on the bench. However, Hurricane emerges victorious, dethroning the number 1 team with a score of 148.44 to 111.62. Game number 5 featured 2 teams desperate for a win as the 1-3 Korean Mafia faced off against the 2-2 Fighting Irish. Both squads had strong performances in 2023, but were struggling early in their 2024 campaigns. Quarterback Joe Burrow stepped up for the Irish, scoring 36.28 points. However, the Mafia clinched a close victory thanks to double-digit performances from all but one player. Despite facing bye weeks, Sean's team couldn't find the edge as the Mafia triumphed with a score of 126.24 to 120.88, leaving both teams at 2-3. And finally, in game number 6, the 1-3 Aston TDs faced off against the 2-2 Quails, who were looking to break a 2-game losing streak after the TDs earned their first win last week. Both teams boasted strong offenses, but it was Steve's squad that shone this week, led by quarterback Lamar Jackson and wide receiver Mike Evans. Nick's team performed well enough to beat 9 other managers this week, but unfortunately fell short against Steve, losing by a score of 128.44 to 142.82. This result leaves both teams at 2-3. let's dive into the matchups for Civil War Week 6. In match number 1, the top team in the league, the 4-1 Hurricane, aims to continue their dominance against the rising number 2, the 4-1 Miami Sound Machine. Match number 2 features a clash of rivals in the annual Albanian Bowl, as the 3-2 Albanian Hard Knocks take on the 3-2 Albanian Express in a crucial battle. In match number 3, we've got two teams going in opposite directions, as the sinking number 6 Fighting Irish, sitting at 2-3, face off against a rising number 5 Senor Ocho Cinco, who are sitting at 3-2. Match number 4 highlights two teams that are on the rise, the number 8 Injured Reserves and the number 7 Ascentides, both coming off 2 consecutive wins after starting 0-3. In match number 5, fierce inter-office rivals collide as the number 10 Quails, sitting at 2-3, take on the number 9 Korean Mafia, also at 2-3. These teams have previously met in Week 3 in the Rhodes Brothers Fantasy Football League, where Nick Patterson dominated the matchup. And finally, match number 6 may be the most pivotal of the week, featuring number 12 Mama Patterson sitting at 1-4 against the number 11 Handicap Heroes sitting at 2-3. This matchup presents a crucial opportunity for either team to break free from their struggles. This week's GBL Game of the Week features a showdown between the number 1 Hurricane and the number 2 Miami Sound Machine, marking their second meeting in just 6 weeks as part of the GBL's Civil War. In their first encounter, both teams delivered disappointing performances, scoring under 100 points each, with the Machine losing by 33. This week, the scenario is vastly different. Hurricanes started the week as the clear favorite, but injuries have brought them closer to Chris's total. Despite the setbacks, we still believe Sean's squad will have enough firepower to overcome another top contender, especially with star wide receiver Nico Collins currently on the injured reserve. We predict Hurricane will secure the victory by 10 points in Civil War Week 6 and retain his spot as the number 1 team in the league. This week's GBL Spotlight shines on the inaugural champions, the Handicap Heroes, led by manager Mikey Keogh, a founding member and seasoned veteran with 11 years under his belt. Mikey clinched the GBL championship in 2014, triumphing over Lou Ortiz with a score of 162-98. He holds an all-time record of 58 wins, 71 losses, and 0 ties, with 3 seasons below 500 and 4 above, ranking 11th overall. His 2014 title also secured him the 6th spot in the GBL Champion of the Decade standings. Mikey has reached the semifinals twice in both 2014 and 2016, though he currently ranks outside the top 10 for highest average score. In terms of victories, he's tied for 2nd place all-time with 11 wins against Steve Keogh, while he has faced 8 losses against Sean Keogh, placing him tied for 6th in that category. His biggest rivals are both cousins, Steve and Sean, against whom he boasts a winning record. After a 5-season playoff drought, the Handicap Heroes made a comeback last season, finishing 8-6 before being eliminated in the first round. However, the 2024 preseason rankings have placed Mikey at the bottom, and although the Heroes started strong at 2-0, they've struggled in their last 3 matches. Week 6 presents a crucial chance for them to bounce back and prove that their resurgence in 2023 was no fluke.